Welcome to Eventvods. Watch the full game from EMEA Masters, Winter 2025.
Just like you mentioned earlier, once you have that gold lead and the map is yours, you can roam freely. But once the game state is more balanced, it becomes harder and harder to be able to perform the way
Imagine
you
getting
want to.
followed by a riot.
Exactly. Right now, we see some, we can call it signature bans right now. I mean, we got Sign from the board, Gragas, and probably Ivern. There we go. In
How many adaptations?
2.
Also, the first time that we have a rel ban coming out.
Yeah.
What did they switch it out for again? What did they? Nar.
Yeah, Nar and
was
Jace
not
both
Ivern.
open. They kept both the top lane picks open with the Jace and the Gnar, so they kind of make Amo choose, right?
Well, Jace was also open last game, but I felt like they were
Yeah.
probably setting up a bait to maybe get it picked, and now both Jace and Nar are open. So I wonder what Los Ratones' plan here is in maybe picking the Jace themselves early, or if it's going to be that that disaster of a Vi, whether it will go top or jungle. This is really interesting.
I really love it. I really love the performance.
It could also force some options, right, for Supermassive. They got the exactly same bans and they have had, I believe, for 3 games in a row right now. But also for Supermassive exiles, what do you feel like could be a good answer to the fight? Because it could still be flexed to multiple lanes, of course. We know Lost Ratones. It could even go to 5 lanes if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, in worst case, they're red side. I mean, in the worst case, if they're not sure whether or not the Vi which lane she's going to, they can just wait. They have the benefit of the red side. They can use this last pick to make sure that they have a good matchup against the Vi. And also, Bao was taken away Crowley's precious Sivir. There's a Sivir in our game, and it's not from Crowley. What is happening? And there is a little Sivir lane, and it's not Crowley and Reckless. There's something wrong. I think have they forgotten to switch?
Wait, I have to ask production. Are both team names swapped out? Swapped around? No, I got confirmed. It is correct. So, no, it is Supermassive going for Sivir, Lulu. Brownie and Reckless are crying right now, but still they have some options up their sleeve, of course. SEM, what do you feel like Lost Ratones can do as an answer towards those picks that have been picked away?
Oh no, we're not going back to this meta. Icy is very locked in, and one of the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that Yumi is playable once again with the coming of Axiom Arcanist in the sorcery tree. But if this is actually going to be the response of Lost Ratones, then, well, hold up to everything, because we're getting another 50-minute banger with 2 ADCs that just really like the skill into oblivion, and maybe the rest of the map will do something beforehand, but if this Vi is going on to bounce, then I don't think that... Oh, it will be Yana, actually. Okay, I mean...
How do you feel about the
Reckless special, but it feels really early.
It is Reckless Janna. I'm just happy. I mean, I don't care that it's early. I'm just very satisfied with it.
But how do you feel like the fact that they show it right now? Because it feels like Jenna's usually an answer to a lot of engaged champions. Well, since I was picked after Jenna picked, so I guess that's a good combination. But it feels like Jenna, it's kind of hard to reach anything to push away. Now you can just do some shields and maybe some healing, but also Zeri is very mobile. So it feels like, I don't know, Jenna felt a bit random at this point for me.
I mean, it's not the perfect match, but I think in some case you could argue that, like, still in lane, you can kind of try to back it up with, like, all the engage that probably is, like, coming in from the top lane jungle and maybe even mid lane pick right now. That the Janna can, in the team fights, try to create space for the Zeri so she can be space gliding, just pushing enemies back, pushing the Shinzao, pushing, like, any other top laner out of the team fight, hopefully, creating also space for your vibe. So, yeah, I still get the point that she's very, very early, but I trust when Janna is in the right hands, in the hands of Reckless. And I also remember some really, really nasty games from Crowley back then when Zeri was like the peak champion, when everybody played Zeri. It was like Zeri games all day long, 5 games in a row, and Crowley was like one of the 80 carries that really shined back then.
Yeah, he basically played it all the way down with BDS towards that finals against Mad Lions, and even there they went 2-0 up only to get reverse sweeped in the end. So he is one of those really crafty players on a champion like Zeri. I also want to add, by the way, to the Reckless argument that the fact that he is picking Yana blind also just means that he is just completely comfortable, something that we already called out. But comfort is also going to be more and more important the further we get into these series, because we all know the strain of fatigue that we get when we play multiple games on a day. And now with also the immense pressure that's on your shoulders because it's a best of 5 and in the end one team has to leave, the drag of playing one game and another will slowly drain your focus. And now with the champion that you at least know that you're micro on point, you can make sure that with the fact that micro will be okay because you play this champion very often, you can now just look onto the rest and okay, I can now focus on macro properly.
Yeah, now
Yeah, go, Rick sounded, sorry.
we have a stone. We have a Galio on our hands coming in for top lane, stolen from yesterday's Eves matchup. And I mean, it's complete comfort. As I am already said, we have the Syndra for Nemesis, one of his most played champions. We get again the typical Baal champion on top lane, having a lot of peel with the taunt. But I'm actually not quite sure. I mean, the idea is, of course, Vi goes in, ults the Sivir, then Galio making his own entrance, everybody just trying to get onto that Sivir in the backline. But I'm actually not quite sure if that will work because Sub actually has a lot of support to try to keep Bao alive.
Yeah, exactly. And also, there's just one really hard engage, and that's only 5 for Los Ratones. All right, guys, to round it up, because I noticed our costs are jumping again. Yeah, no, they're not jumping in the room, but they're still
so
high.
high.
I know they
They're
want
so
to go, so oh, they're jumping around. Let's give some conclusions towards this third game, because one of these teams is about to take the lead. SAM, what do you feel like is going to happen?
I think this time, like, I really like Los Ratones. I also like the argument of playing on comfort, but overcooking is also a job well done, sometimes done in the British cuisine, and therefore, Cadwell, I'm sorry, but I'm giving it over to Supermassive.
SuperMassive is going 2-1. Rixalis?
I mean, then I have to vote against it. I mean, I took the L last game with voting for Supermassive. I'm not voting on them again. Lost what I is. I see Crowny on Zyra, on the Zeri. I see a Reckless Shanna. They have to win this, right?
Reckless Jenna, one of those important factors that could give them the win. Also, Twitch chat, you guys at home, let us know who will take the third game in these quarterfinals. In the meantime, Black Bloxer and Trajan are ready for the next upcoming third game in these quarterfinals.
All of SIM to open a cuisine off from his position, but you know we're kept in separate rooms, the casters and analysts, for this reason, so there'll be no fists thrown at this point, but there will certainly be fists thrown on the Rift right now. This is a pivotal middle series game. LR, let's be honest, they just about held on in the last game. They turned it around, they clutched it when they needed to, but Supermassive, on balance, have looked like the stronger team so far.
Yeah, I think they've just looked like they've been able to get around the map a little bit more. They've been good at exploiting Baus when needed, but not overcommitting to trying to get on top of him at all times. It's been a very impressive matchup from Supermassive, and I like what they've got for themselves in this drop. This is a very standard front-to-back team fight composition, and we were talking about it in the green room, right, Trajan? This Lulu might be the thing that undoes Los Ratones. It looks great in just so many of the champions that Los Ratones are trying to play around.
Yeah, it is a pretty nice pick. We saw it prioritized heavily for Supermassive, slamming the Silver Lulu early on in the draft. The answer, of course, being the classic Reckless Janna, which we love to see every single time. So we have an Enchanter up. We rarely see it on both sides of the equation, honestly. We're still seeing normally a range versus melee matchup in the support department. And I am, I'll be honest, as an NLC region caster, as a general regional supporter of Los Ratones, I'm a little worried about the blind Galio going up into Armut's Cassante. I think this gives Armut a lot of room to be a big threat going forward.
Really does. Armut has been having an absolute blinder of a series so far, despite the fact that they end up losing in the last game, was keeping his team in it, fighting tooth and nail with that cannon, and just looked gorgeous on it. Same thing in the first game as well. Really been a good series for him so far, and the Cassante, one of the best champions for a reason. We were talking about it, especially in the first game with the Garen for Baus. Those are the sort of champions where you fall behind, you look kind of useless. Cassante, not that champion. You get ahead, and well, there's nothing your opponents can do. But even from behind, Armut will have some great situations that he can try to play around. It's such a good, versatile champion.
Yeah, the team fighting from Armut has always been a signature aspect of his play, even from the LEC, from International. This guy's team fighting has always been excellent, and we have seen that on display today multiple times. For now, Bao and Carry are going to step out of this rush right now, but it's not going to be any early trading. Both teams just trying to get control of that early wave, looking for the level 2 spike. Both junglers start on the top side, so both going to be clearing down towards this lane as well, presumably.
You would expect so, and this bottom lane is the sort of lane you can try to tussle into just a little bit. It's not exactly a lane that you're expecting to have a ton of explosivity if you don't get involved with your junglers. I mean, specifically for the side of Supermassive, right? Bao and Carry going to be very happy to not get too involved early on. They really want to sit back and get that farm. We talk about it so much with Civirs, which have been popping up more and more recently. 300 CS is kind of the point at which you usually want to get involved and fight.
Interesting to me that we've seen a clear archetype from Nemesis today, right? It's been mages all day, the Azir, the Syndra, and the Ryze. Whereas Fiesta, we've kind of run the entire spectrum of mid laners. We've had Ambessa, Orianna, and LeBlanc. We're seeing a lot of variety in terms of play style and champion style out of Fiesta here. He has suffered a little bit in that second game. Of course, game one was very impressive from him, but I am naturally just very, very impressed with the versatility on display right here. Certainly a power point in a fearless meta, as Skeens is looking for a potential steal. Velia's going to spot him, but gets over the wall, and the flashes have to be traded. The knockup's going to be there. Carries on the rotation, and Velia likely down for the first blood.
Oh my, just gets taken out, and more than that, is gonna lose both these Krugs and likely this red buff if Skeens feels like he can stick around to be able to steal it away. That's a ton to just be missing out on at this point in the map, with no real hope for Velia of being able to turn it around. Baus also getting jumped right here. Armut flashes, just gets it. Oh my god.
Flashes in an autos.
Okay.
Maybe Baus waiting to dodge a flash Q here. But Armus just hits him with a stick and he falls over.
Just basic attack the man to death. I mean, if it works, it works, and that's 2 quick kills going on to Supermassive. The first one was going to carry, so not going to be too bad. You know, as much as Lulu with gold is a little bit scary, it's not exactly who we would want all of that early priority onto. Armut, though, getting that advantage in his lane, exactly what you want to see. And that's a real change from last game, where Armut ended up getting solo killed twice, despite the fact he had a really good matchup into Baus.
Yeah, those lane swapping shenanigans ended up shaken out in Los Ratones' favor. Not so in game number 3. It's all standard as Velia around the corner. Lovely stun. Sets up for the Vi. Forces a flash from the Orianna.
And now that the Orianna is flashless, it's going to be so much scarier to play this one out as Fiesta. I would like to see Velia re-arrive into this mid lane, re-gank this one, see if you can pick yourself up the kill and get either you or Nemesis ahead. A little bit of an injection of gold right here, as everybody has to just go back to their waves, pick everything up. It's not been the quietest of early games. You know, this has been pretty explosive so far. Definitely in Supermassive's favor. Already up by 1,000 gold. And I mean, looking at where it is, it's pretty well spread.
It's an even success rate across the map for Supermassive. More like what we saw in game number 1. It's even more of an acceleration for them, though, here. Los Ratones have to shake off those early couple of kills and get back on track. The Vi, once it gets level 6, will have some of that isolating power. Nemesis on the Syndra can offer an ultimate to try and get rid of those important targets on the front line. And how Baus slots in, if it's going to be on Peel, it's going to be looking to CC chain and lock up those targets. It's going to be up to him. But it's going to be a tricky one to play out for Los Ratones, especially if they do end up behind. You know, someone like Crowny, which can be a win condition player on the Zeri. This is a scaler. This is someone that he can take over with, but he needs time to get there.
Very much. Both of these teams are going to be looking to get some scaling done onto their main carries, but with junglers who are proactive early on and who can really start to take over the map if they want to, something that so far Skeens has been able to do just a little bit better. And you're right, as much as we're talking about Supermassive having the kind of composition that wants to sit there front to back, not be too worried, same kind of thing for Los Ratones once we get to the point where the team fights are online. For now, a little bit more of a look towards these individual skirmishes around these early objectives. Both junglers down in the bottom side of the map as the first Drake spawns, but it looks like Velia at least going to head towards the top side, maybe play around these grubs instead.
Looks like the shockwave has been committed early by Fiesta on that level 6 tick over it, just to make sure that Nemesis does not have the HP to stand and fight if the dragon fight is what it comes to. Velia and Reckless rotating up just to make sure everything is kosher in the mid lane. As Skeens works on that objective. Should be uncontested. Velia moves into topside river, but doesn't really have lanes in a good position. Cassante and Orianna both coming down to shove him out of there.
And this is not going to be that easy trade, and this is what we saw in the first game where Supermassive were able to get both Grubs and the Drake. Nemesis does get jumped though, ulted.
Ooh, gets the stun actually, and Baus coming in with the ultimate. Nemesis has to be careful, but they've locked up the Cassante. Reckless. Both supports taking their dues. Nemesis gets 6, gets the ult onto Fiesta, and this time the credit goes to the mid laner. Strolls away with about 100 total resources left.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, if it works right here for Los Ratones. Bit of an interesting situation to step up as far as Supermassive did. I agree with them for trying to stop the easy take onto these grubs. If you can get Skeens up from where he's taking the Drake to get involved, steal away just one, that is huge. Val gonna get jumped right here. Spell Shield is used well and is just gonna be able to step away. but because they step up a little bit too far, do the members of Supermassive, they end up giving over 2 kills and the 3 grubs. A definitive loss right there, and it loses them quite a lot of the advantage they've worked so hard for.
Barely picks up that third run before Skeens round the corner. Level 6 on deck. Velia, no such luck. Knows he has to pull the recall. And Skeens will be able to probably just take what he wants on this top side. He has that small advantage. Nemesis still under pressure from Fiesta. The Orianna, a classic Syndra counter from years and years ago, as Crowny currently on his own, has to flash early away. The character can get the slow dashes over there. The polymorph is there. Baus is going for the turret dive. Still gets traded back. It's feats of warfare for Supermassive, but in a 1 versus 2, Crowny gets one back. Velia still not level 6. Skeens is on his own. Fiesta's trying to come over to help. Drops the ultimate. Velia is getting pummeled right now in his own jungle. Fiesta picking up the credit. Nemesis now not to where he needs to go. And Skeens just steps in, and they fail to push him out.
Just stood in the middle of 3 members right there of Los Ratones. He doesn't care. He's chilling. He's having a good time. And this is something that we were also talking about in the green room, right? Crescent Guard has honestly been the best spell for me throughout this entire tournament. The amount of times I've seen people's attempts at engages just go completely wrong because there's a Xin Zhao sat there, chucks the ulti up, and there's nothing that you can do about it. You can see it perfectly right there. In amongst 3 people, able to get a kill, able to walk away. A little bit of trading back and forth.
Crowny.
Can you jump
in
on
the
the wall?
3. How's this happened? This is unfortunate for the Zeri. You can see that the 3 pincers stepping into position over the course of the last 30 seconds. Skeets drops pretty low, but ultimately that Zeri was never getting out of there.
No, at the point at which you jump over the wall towards your opponent's turret, you're dead. There's no way that you're going to be able to live that one out. And Supermassive, once again, showing that they're just a little bit more proactive. I think that's what I've been most impressed about for Supermassive today. Skeens has just been all over the map in all of his games. Really has just been out-jungling Velia in the early stages. That's not to say Velia hasn't had some good looks, and especially once we get into these team fights, that's where he really begins to pop off, but just hasn't been able to have that same level of impact so far.
He is still, this is a pretty relatively new name to the scene. It's not like he's never been on a team before. Velia's been around and about since about 2020 on very low-level teams and had some experience in the semi-pro professional scene as well, but Skeens is a name that we have seen on much bigger stages in the past before, and that quality is really shining through today. Been very impressed with the Supermassive top side, as one would expect. Velia now has to try and get back in this one. He's got the ultimate. He finally has level 6 on the on the Vise, who's ready to try and get those kill combos down. As Nemesis, at least, that expected partner in crime for that single target elimination, is doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, Nemesis has been having a very good early game so far, and the Syndra, a great one to be able to do that on. If you can get to that point, we've got all the splinters, you're getting those executes off. This champion can completely one-tap almost anybody here. Bao very much going to be wanting to save his spell shield for Nemesis, you have to think, but there's going to be a lot of other things jumping at him right here. Very much going to be one of the main carries for Supermassive. You can see everybody moving around. We've got quite a lot of people up towards the top lane right now. The second set of Grubby is going to be spawning in just a little bit. And having had all 3 go over to Los Ratones earlier on, Supermassive don't want to lose all 6.
Looking to pressure onto Bao, but the carry shield is there ready to slow them down. Crowny dashing in, Velia over the wall. They really want to bait them into a fight. But does Supermassive know that Velia is on vision? You see he's sweeping. He's wondering if they actually know he's there as Baus gets knocked back. And then the ult from Armor. He's in a 1v1 now. Cannot do anything. He just gets diced up by the Cassante.
That's the second solo kill. They're now 2 for 2 in terms of solo kills right here. And with the death in the bottom lane, it's going to force Crowny to go down there, try to stop this turret from falling to the Cassante. And that opens up massively in this top side. Grubs are going to go over to Supermassive. They're going to equal this one up 3 for 3. And the next thing to look at is this Drake. It is going to be an Infernal Drake as well. A very juicy one. Both teams going to very much want to head down to that one, pick it up for themselves. And we will see what the rift is. Hang on. Is that Nemesis ulti?
Rest looks at Fiesta. Holds it, I think. It's just decent burst. It's just what Syndra does when you get a couple of levels in a Lost Chapter. But carries around the corner to offer the shields. And the threat was never really there. Fiesta did ult at some stage in the last little while. Not sure when, but Los Ratones are going to head on to the Dragon. They are likely to even this up 1 apiece as the Void Grubs go down. So it's going to be 3 to each side. As now Baus has got a nice little angle onto the Orianna. There's the Syndra ultimate coming out. And Syndra picks up the second kill of the game.
It was the Fiesta ulti that had already happened. Baus also nicks. Oh no, not quite. I thought he'd just about been able to steal away that scuttle. Instead, no, it does just go over to Skeens, but Fiesta dying right there does open up this mid lane for quite a good bit of pushing. They're also going to go into a bow here.
Committed, but Carry is there ready and waiting. I think Los Ratones thought
turn
that
it.
Lulu was not in range. But now this pairing, you can see the Enchanter combo doing its work. Reckless coming down to support. Crowny wants to get Bao dead before the TP comes in. Trying to hit these Qs, but Bao is backstepping every one of them. And now Reckless in with the Janna ultimate. Fiesta's TP'd in, but has just transferred himself into a nightmare. Pushed back towards the blue turret, and Reckless with the shields, Crowny with the endless shots. Flash is traded in the end, but big money for Crowny. 3 kills in the Zeri's pocket.
Yeah, the flash right at the end, just to make sure that it's him that picks up the kill and not Reckless. Didn't want the Janna getting a second kill in this game. And the supports, both of them coming in clutch in that fight in the bottom lane. First of all, it's Carry arriving to be able to keep Bao alive, but they over-chase a little bit. And as much as Crowny wasn't hitting all of the autos early on, it wasn't so bad. Baus flashes away. He's dead again? No. Yes? Oh my God.
One more tower shot. Velia's round the corner. He should be able to stop Armor from getting away with this one clean. In comes the Q. The Vault Breaker's there. Casante's gonna get beaten down eventually.
Does he?
Eventually. The shield is coming around the corner. Knockup cancels the Vault Breaker. And now
Skeens is
Nemesis is trying to come up. Skeens splashing in. And Armor is doing tricks on it. That was a crazy play from him.
How does he manage to make that one work? The Casante so strong. With the Hollow Radiance already, it means that he's just able to survive for the entire time. Mad that you're able to get that kill, buy enough time for Skeens to get into the area, and we talked about it. Casante's good from behind. Well, from ahead, it's impossible to try to deal with. Going to be a massive threat into the backline in these team fights, and right now is making the Baus play Grey Screen Simulator. I mean, he can't even sit in lane, under tower.
Yeah, I mean, like, this was never going to be a fun matchup for him, but it did not have to go this badly. Arma is making the absolute most out of this. Nemesis and Fiesta trading in mid lane again. Fiesta did use that shockwave again early, but Nemesis simply spaced it out well enough to walk away, holding onto his own flash. But, you know, Baus is going to have to use this Galio for all of its utility, because there's certainly not going to be that much raw power coming out this top side.
No, you're hoping that really you're going to be getting a few good ultis off, a couple taunts, just be tanky enough to buy a little bit of space for your carries. The carries have been doing well, 2-0-1, 4-2, right, on your main champions, and Baus no stranger to being behind in his individual lane and still making an impact for the team. But the Galio, very much the sort of champion that does want to get involved in the straight-up 5v5 team fights. Being this far behind and giving so much over to the enemy Casante, definitely not going to be the ideal start to this game. Very, very small gold lead right now for SuperMassive. 1 Drake apiece, 3 Grubs apiece. Overall, even game between these two teams. And it's going to be that 2-item mark that we are rapidly approaching, where these teams are really going to get into the point where, yeah, we can actually fight this one. We want to get involved. And then it's all down to who can execute these team fights out better.
You can see it is really just bot side versus top side in terms of the gold. Nemesis and Crowny are in possession of significant gold leads themselves, Reckless even, with a little bit of a lead over Carry. Not that that matters, but Armor and Skeens are heavily ahead of their counterparts. Baus and Belly are struggling in this game third. Bot tower secured, it's more gold into Nemesis's pocket, but these were the carries that managed to get Los Ratones over the line in the last game. Baus had a massive part to play in that, but ultimately Nemesis on the rise and the Crowny Jhin had huge value, and they've got the gold where they need to be from Los Ratones. Supermassive, they're instead playing off this top side. The front line is where all the value is, so if they're able to outmaneuver and catch out these carries from Los Ratones, it's going to work out for them. But if the game goes later and later and later, that gold lead on top side is going to matter a little less.
Yes, exactly. You need to keep the momentum up right now for SuperMassive. They're trying to do so by getting themselves this Rift Herald. They're going to lose quite a lot of pressure onto this mid lane tower. I think Crowny not quite going to be able to take this one out without risking his own life. Actually going to get engaged upon.
They ulted onto him, flashing from Carry for the knock-up off the Lulu ultimate. Aggressive play, and Belia just strolls away into the brush. Nothing to be done for you, my friend. Love that from the Lulu.
I am so happy that Carry got that kill there. No, it's not good for SuperMassive, but by God, does he deserve it for that one. That was all him. That's the levels of Lulu play you get when you are so deep into it. And Crowley going down right here is going to open up this Dragon for Supermassive. Getting both the Herald and the Drake right here would be a great swing for them. This is the kind of acceleration they needed.
The Ratones are still happy to contest it without their 4 kills. Zeri, this feels like a ballsy maneuver. Armor with no TP, counting it in there. They get the ult onto Fiesta, but where's the follow-up? Balsalt comes in, a couple of knockups. Bao taking a bit of damage. Nemesis is there, and Velia flies in to secure it. Skeens looking to get this kill back, but the rest of the fight has collapsed for Supermassive.
Can he get the Drake?
Skeens,
Can he get the Drake?
all of a sudden finds himself abandoned in the pit, sneaks away the Drake, but still falls at the end.
And see the
What?
reason.
Triple kill?
Yup. Oh man. Janna, triple kill. Reckless has so many triple kills in his career. I don't think any of them were on Janna though. That's pretty crazy to be able to pick up. We've seen this one before. Armor more than happy to just take the tower in the face of Baus right here. And this is why you were able to play this one out as Los Ratones. Yes, you do lose out onto your massively fed Zeri. But at the same time, the massively fed Cassante is not there. And that is so much of the teamfight prowess that you're trying to play around as Supermassive, just not available to you. He was off pushing through topside, wasn't really thinking he was going to be needed down around this Drake. The saving grace, of course, is that Skeens picks himself up the Drake, so at least you got that, and triple kill onto Janna. As much as it's funny, it's not good.
Yeah, he's
I
just
mean,
got the
10 stack Medjais,
now.
like,
I
bruh.
wish he didn't have it in that fight. He'd actually be like 20 stack Medjais if he just had it in place, but obviously probably didn't have the gold if he didn't get the triple kill in the first place. So now Reckless is set up to be the most annoying kind of Janna, which is the Medjais Janna that low-key does a lot of poke damage. The healing scales really well with it. So there is a lot of room. If he can keep himself alive, don't give the shutdown over, Reckless Janna is in a great spot to be pivotal in this game.
Yeah, you know what? Of all the supports to be able to pick up a triple kill, you know, Sennas, Pikes, full AP Jannas, there's worse options to really be going for. Is very, very funny to watch. And still, as much as it's been back and forth, Los Ratones, about 1,000 gold lead. They're going to lose out on quite a lot of that right now, as you can see, Supermassive. They're going to drop the Herald they were able to get at the beginning of that set of plays. Mid lane tower going to crumble in their faces. Don't know if they can try turn this one around into another bit of a fight.
Ratones scrambling back through the river. Bit of damage onto Skeens. Armor driving the Herald down to bot side where there is a tower, kind of crumbles it into the wall, and now Herald's just going to turn around and go back the way it was. So we're not going to see another charge out of this one. It's going to get picked up before too long. Reckless almost taken out himself, but Supermassive seem to be quite attached to this Herald actually, and they're going to help it get forward. Brownie will finally take it down, and now Supermassive can peel back. Baus has gotten a lot of free time on top side to get the wave in.
Yeah, not going to be able to fully take down this tower. I don't think Armut just about going to get over there in time. Does at least draw Armut up towards this top side of the map, because we do have an Atakan on the Rift. Now, teams love, and I mean love, throwing around Atakan. It seems like everybody's favorite thing to do this year. With no team significantly in an advantage, though, I don't think it's going to be a throw. Instead, it's very much going to be both of these teams trying to establish enough of an advantage to really start this one up, and picks could be crucial for that. And if either of these teams have a better pick composition, you have to think it's Los Ratones with this Vi. The ulti from the Vi hasn't been too impactful in the game so far, but that does not mean that it can't find that angle, where if you can catch Bao or Fiesta out before a team fight starts, you are in a very good spot around this next objective.
Yeah, if you're trying to start a play for Supermassive, you're really relying on, I mean, I guess carry flash ulting in to get a knock up is one way to do it. Or you're looking for an Armut flank.
Lightning.
Yeah, Skeens getting that dash in, and Orianna, kind of like a sort of semi-Nocturne Orianna combo, just with much less range and no paranoia over the top of it. Yeah. It's not easy for Supermassive to just get the plays started if they want to. Whereas, as you said, Los Ratones, they've got options. They've got the Vi, they've got Baus coming in for a flank as well, and the Nemesis stuns to catch people. They've got options to play with. They have a small lead ahead of them. And when it comes down to these messy fights, that's what got them out game number 2. And that is kind of what's keeping them in game number 3 right now.
Exactly. But also, they're up against a Supermassive composition that does scale very, very well. You need to be careful to not allow this sit there to get to the point where it just sits there and shreds you. And again, the Zeri can be pretty good for that too. Nemesis getting chased right now, doesn't have friends around for a while, has a tower at least to fall back to.
the stun, and Velia is near enough that Carry is going to give up the chase. Looking a little dicey there for the Syndra for a moment. Gets away. The Cosmic Drive, big movement speed boost, huge. Swifties as well, so they are going to walk away there. Crowny trying to get a bit of poke damage down. Schemes doesn't want to have any of it, but eats some machine gun shots for his trouble. The contesting around this river has already begun. It is only the Chemtech Drake, not one would say the strongest soul to play for, but Drakes are Drakes, and especially with the Ruinous Atacant, they're going to be even more valuable to pick up if you can get it.
Exactly, that's one of the best bits about the Ruinous Atacant. Even the Drake souls that you're not as excited for become something you really would like to be able to pick up for yourselves. Resets just came through, Armut TP's in, Fiesta walking back from lane, and everybody spent their gold ready to go. This could be the pivotal team fight right here, and everybody's got all their tools available.
Armut starting it up, the rest is massive, pretty compressed in that middle of the river. Velia, Nemesis on the flank, Baus on the other. You can find that critical first TC. They're looking for Bao. In they come. Flash away does the Sivir. The Galio wants to follow.
Crowny's
They
getting
don't quite
jumped,
get the
though.
knockup.
Crowny's dead.
Dived so deep, and Crowny gets picked off from the side. He's too focused. Supermassive peel back beautifully, and Los Ratones lose 2 on the engage.
Really well played right there out of Skeens, and they're going to head straight on down to pick up this Atacant. Los Ratones, they thought they had a good team fight available to them, but they just aren't able to get any of the key engages or ultis off. And everybody just gets scattered to the 4 corners once again. 2 deaths, the Atacant and the Drake, means that Supermassive, as we said, pivotal team fight, well, they are coming out well and truly on top.
Get all those roses scattered as well. A big XP boost in the pocket of Supermassive. Armor ticking over to level 16 already. Off the back of that, he's 5 levels above Reckless, 4 levels above Velia. This Armor Cassante is just gigantic. We'll have the back cancelled by Baus, but not much more can really be said. A couple of waves pushing in. Nemesis looks like he's going to pick up that top tower at some point, perhaps not even. The TPs are coming in to protect it.
You're absolutely right there, Trajan. Difference between a team fight for Supermassive where Armor is involved and Armor isn't is a canyon. Those are massively different team fights for them. You can see with the Jag Show completed as well. Armor is going to be so happy to sit in the back line of these team fights and just absorb the damage, and he still is going to deal a ridiculous amount back as well. It's just such a crazy champion to get this kind of lead on. When you can play it like this, it feels so very good for the TCL representatives. So much hope from this region on this squad, and they've looked really good in this second game. Still down by just a little bit of gold though. No, this one is certainly not all said and done for.
Absolutely not. We are just even in the goals right now. Bao still doing what he can to try and hold Armor at bay while Velia tries to pick up some farm. We have not really seen that much from the Vi just yet. We've had a couple of nice ultimates, but Schemes is still way ahead on the Xin Zhao, benefiting from the Lulu support. Yeah, Orianna shields and ults as well. Speed boost from Bao. Schemes has a lot of ability to play with Crowny. Finally picking up that turret in topside. And the rest of Supermassive moving into top river. We now have a Baron to consider past the 25-minute mark.
And this is going to be the next big, crucial team fight right here for both of them. We've seen Supermassive, they're a lot more comfortable in these straight-up team fights, but the amount of damage now available to Los Ratones is insane. 3 items completed on both of their key carries, and Nemesis, he can pretty much just one-tap whoever he wants to. If you catch Bao without the spell shield available, or Fiesta just a little bit too close at all, I think he could even get him straight through the Seraphs at this point. So much damage on Nemesis, and he's played out this series so far very impressively too. Los Ratones, they're going to have to put a lot on these main carries. Where's the engage? What can they do to be able to get themselves back into this one? Because also, the longer you wait sitting around this Baron, not letting it be taken, not getting involved with it already, the longer it's going to get us back towards this next Drake. And that's the something that Supermassive are going to be looking to play around next.
Armor finally left with that bot lane tower, picks it up, has the TP this time as well. If a fight breaks out, he can rotate over. There's a deep red ward behind, but he's TPing in early. He's not waiting for a possible flank. He's going to rejoin the team well ahead of time. Doesn't want to wait for a snap engage. As Nemesis finds a stun, doesn't do a whole lot of damage. As Cassante is pretty darn fed right now.
A massive win right there for Los Ratones. They kind of glance at the Baron, and immediately Armut blows that teleport. Now you're going to be in a good spot to at least know where everybody is at. If you can reset this team fight out, even better. I think that means SuperMassive, they're going to have to look for a fight for themselves, otherwise it's a big waste.
Oh, lovely damage onto Skeens. Drops down very low and gets the
Yup.
ultimate off a taunt over the wall from Baus.
They need to
Beautiful
run.
positioning. But the double up from Fiesta. Instantly Reckless has to drop the ultimate, keeping Baus holding that front line. Armet still on his own. Drags Velia through into the mincemeat. And the jungler still goes down. Somehow Skeens is the one walking away, and Los Ratones are left scrabbling for a kill.
The fact that during that teamfight, Skeens is in a 1v1 versus the Rift Scuttler is insane, and you still end up on top with the kills. Velia just going in a little bit too deep, and you can see 6 deaths right now. It's just too many deaths on this Vi. I mean, not even necessarily trading all of these for kills or assists back every time. It's really not been working out so far for the Los Ratones jungler in this game. And SuperMassive, once again, they managed to come out on top in a situation that looks a little bit iffy for them. I really thought they were going to have to run. They'd lost so many big ultis. Carrie, you going to flash ulti again?
Crowny. Let's get the Glitter Lance, but not in a good enough position to follow it up. I was worried we are going to get Crowny caught again. Didn't have Flash. Is about to get it back. We'll have it for the next fight. 3 items deep on the Zeri. You know, no Infinity Edge as of yet. Bao's gone down that route, but still 3 items deep. Has a lot of damage to offer. Still ahead of the counterpart. Ratones, they just looked like they had a great start to that fight, but this Armut Cassante is such a game-warping influence right now.
Yeah.
No one wants to be between him and a fight, because he will ruin your day off it.
He absolutely will. There are no questions right now about the way that Armut is playing. Fully showing up for his region at the moment. You can see he's stepping up so aggressively right now. Gets the bot back.
Taunted, bit of damage. Reckless loses half his HP. Skeens looking for a little bit more. Lost Ratones peeling back. Crowny is on his own. Flashed away and ulted. But where's the rest of the Ratones? They all went the other way. And Nemesis steps away from the shockwave, but they cannot find a kill again.
No, once again, SuperMassive, they're able to get themselves in a good spot. They're going to jump right now. Could potentially keep trying to push this one forwards. They have the advantage of the members, even if there are a couple of low health bars. Need to play this one out carefully. The Drake, still very much the prize in their eye.
Still a Syndra ult available if they can find a good target. The Qs from people are just slicing through the Ratones. Reckless and Nemesis have taken 2, and they are both down below a 3rd HP, but they still step forward in the 4v5 with Cassante still with ultimate. Reckless Janna ultimate tries to get the healing up. Armut's trying to stop them. Baus on the front line. Stuns from Nemesis. Flash away from the Galio, and Armut stepping forward once again. He's half HP, but they don't have the DPS, and Chemtech Soul has been secured for SuperMassive. Los Ratones are now on the wrong side of the map. Double stun for Nemesis. Can he get the ult off? It doesn't even matter. He's just been shut down, and the Lulu ult saves Skeens. This is a catastrophe for the NLC.
Really is. They're just going to lose out on everything right now, and you can see all of the pings right now around the Baron. All of your members are up and available. You've got 40 seconds on Baus, 30 seconds on Nemesis. This is a great opportunity to go and pressure onto this Baron. Could potentially even start it up, but I don't even know that they need to right now. They're winning these team fights, and the more team fight opportunities available to them, the better. Now I'm going to head straight onto the Baron, begin this one. I feel like you have to try steal this one out as Velia, but can you? Is there even an opportunity? It looks like, unfortunately for the NLC, the answer is no.
Bottom the recall, not even going to have a go at it. And SuperMassive finally, after struggling to wrest control properly away from Los Ratones, for 30 minutes in this 3rd game, they've got the Soul, they've got the Baron, they're in the position LR were in game number 2. And they've got things like the Sivir. We're approaching 4 items deep on the Sivir. Orianna, who has been sacrificing a lot of gold for the rest of the map, is getting towards that Zhonya's and has been putting some nice teamfight ultimates together. It seems like everything is in place for the TCL representative to push us to game 4, leading the score.
9 CS right now away from Bao hitting that coveted 300 mark on the Sivir. Exactly right, Trajan. They're all in such strong positions right now for SuperMassive. Getting Los Ratones onto match point would be huge for the mentals and just the full momentum in this series. SuperMassive, they had such a convincing win in game 1. The rest of the games so far have been incredibly close, incredibly back and forth, and that's the thing. Los Ratones, they looked like they were in a bad spot in the last game, and they were able to claw it back through some brilliant team fights. Team fighting, out-handsing your opponents has been exactly what Los Ratones have been doing to opponents all year long, and they're going to need to do that in this game.
That Venn diagram that is Fearless Lovers and Cassante Haters is basically one big circle. They only have to deal with this for one game in the series, and I think all the Los Ratones fans are glad of that, because Arma has just been absolutely unstoppable. Now leading the charge down this bot lane again. Towers start to tumble, the gold lead finally opening up for SuperMassive. They just need to keep control of this push, not offer a target for that pick potential that Ratones has, and they'll be looking at base towers before long.
Need to keep the pressure up. Still got a minute and a half left on this Baron. They've not been very good at getting all 3 lanes synced up and sieging on multiple fronts. They're very much trying to just push through the mid lane, then the bot lane, mid lane, then the bot lane. It's making the base defense a little bit easier right here for Los Ratones, but still, these Baron empowered cannon minions doing work. It's getting what they need to do done.
3-man taunt from Baus, but a lovely stopwatch from Fiesta avoids the Nemesis ultimate potential. Belia takes one super Q and has to back away. The Los Ratones hold the line for now, but some big ults will drop for the privilege.
Yeah, this is the thing when you're sieging into one lane. It makes it a little bit easier for Los Ratones to both hold the line and try for those engages. Yes, it's a really good golden to at least keep yourself alive right there as Fiesta, but now it's a while until you're going to be feeling quite so safe once again. Not going to be ideal going on forwards. Still, SuperMassive in control of this one, most certainly. About 5,000 gold in the lead. We've got 2.5 minutes until the Elder pops up, and the Elder steal take, not even sure what it was, is what won Los Ratones last game. So they are very much going to be looking towards that one. They need to just hold on for 2 more minutes and then play around this objective.
You can see the gold leads are starting to shift. Top lane's basically the same, but Bao is now actually marginally ahead, looking for that next item completion. It must be said, though, that Crownie is the one with 4 items deep, now has the Infinity Edge, so if he gets some chance to open up the auto attacks and the Qs in the team fight, he's going to shred through that front line. Arma has only got so many more items he can buy, and it looks like he's going for something with at least some magic resist in it for the last choice, so Crownie will be thanked for his lucky stars there. Maybe there is a chance for Los Ratones to play out one of these longer fights, but it just feels so tough when your front line is so much shakier, so much flimsier.
Yeah.
You just can't hold out as long as they can.
That's the thing, and also with the build that we're seeing out of Baus as well, it's not even a full tank build. You know, your opponent right now is full tank and dealing mad amounts of damage. You have gone for a more damage-based build. You've got Riftmaker, for goodness sakes, but it means that you're not able to just sit in the backline and absorb the damage in the same way. And then when you are able to actually try to do a bit of damage to these carries, it's really not landing. It's not hitting in the same way. Still, it's not exactly like that's where you're looking for the damage. Nemesis just completed that death cap, so you are in a very strong position on your true carries for Los Ratones. And they have been able to stall this game out relatively well. You know, they're still in it. They're not completely out of this one. As we've been saying, it is going to be this Elder Drake that they've got to play around. But yeah, just the tanks are the difference at the moment.
In time, 40 seconds until the Elder Dragon spawns. Chemtech Soul still a factor for SuperMassive, gives them that extra survivability against the burst that Los Ratones need to leverage against their important
Oh,
carries. And
Crownie, no.
Steps up for Qs and loses his flash for the privilege.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see. Crownie already got caught in the mid lane and now blows the flash for what? For nothing. A couple of extra Qs wouldn't have even helped that much. Instead, it's just going to be some extra vision around this bottom side that Los Ratones are able to pick up for themselves. The mid wave is pushed through for SuperMassive, and over they come.
Being into the mid lane does Fiesta. Nemesis is still trying to control this wave. He's far from the fight. Los Ratones have to cede all the ground possible. Baus is on a deep flank position, has not been discovered as of yet. Carry trying to pop some of these blast guns to give him an angle in. Scuffler comes down. Reckless is now in position. Nemesis is in position. Baus on the flank gets good damage actually onto Fiesta's Orianna. It's a decent start for them as Elder down below half HP. Belia charging the Q, waiting for the opportunity, lets it time out. Ooh. In comes Arma, looking for the aggression, but doesn't find it. A flash away from Belia and a Baus ultimate stops the first engage. But where are the critical carries? Where's Crownie? Where's Nemesis? Orianna ult catches 3 of them! And just like that, Los Ratones are wiped off the face of the Rift. Elder is down, and just like that, Supermassive clap down on the Lost Ratones comeback. There's the ace, and surely that's going to be the game.
That will be the game right here. The death timers are way too long for the members of Los Ratones to get back and be able to defend their Nexus. With the Elder taken, what a crazy end to this game that is. Fiesta missed quite a lot of shockwaves in that game, but when it matters, when everything was on the line, the team fight back and forth messy, he hits a massive one, and that's going to be match point here for Supermassive.
Wonderful resilience from the TCL squad. Los Ratones kept it close for much of the runtime, always finding these scrappy fights, these crazy comebacks, but when it came down to it, that critical Elder